What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is part of a series that I'm just now starting, and honestly, been wanting to do this series for a long time. But I can now say, as of the filming of this video, February of 2023, I've seen every single Best Picture nominee from 2000 all the way to 2022. So because of such, I'm going to be each year ranking the Best Picture nominees for each year. Depending on how many nominees there will be, it will be from worst to best. From 2000 to 2008, it was 5 Best Picture nominees. So in the case of this video, obviously you clicked on it, so you know for the year 2000 Best Picture nominees, there were 5. So I'll be ranking it from 5 being the worst to 1 being the best, and of course, my humble opinion. So guys, enough exposition. Let's get started. So kicking things off with the 2000 Best Picture nominees, we have number 5, which is Chocolate. This is an okay movie. I don't really have any issues with it per se. It's just like, it's a fine movie. It exists. It's okay. If I heard someone say like, oh yeah, I really like this movie, I could respect that. But for me, it just didn't really have any lasting impact on me. Like I saw it years ago, and to be honest with you, I barely remember it. I only really remember because, oh yeah, it got nominated for Best Picture. It's well acted for sure. It's got some nice cinematography, but just doesn't really stand out. And that's why it's my number 5. Next up, my number 4. This is the one that I actually had to watch before being able to say, hey, I've seen all the Best Picture nominees from 2000 to 2022, and that is my number 4, which is Erin Brockovich. Erin Brockovich is a film that I've been putting off for a long time, and truthfully, after watching it, I don't know why I put it off so long, because this is actually a really good film. Not only is it a really good film, but it is a biopic that stands out, and Julia Roberts kills it in the lead role. And apparently, it's very historically accurate, which explains as to why it feels so fresh. Even 20 plus years later, it's still a biopic that, like, watching, I'm like, wow, it doesn't really fall into the tropes of the usual biopics. So it's a very refreshing biopic, and I gotta say, it is quite good. I mean, shouldn't be surprised, it's Steven Soderbergh, but yeah, that's my number 4. Next up, my number 3, speaking of Steven Soderbergh, we have Traffic. I love Traffic. I really do. And to be quite honest with you, what a year this director had. I mean, he had Erin Brockovich and he had Traffic, both of which he got nominated for Best Picture and Best Director. Quite a feat. And he ended up winning Best Director for Traffic. And I definitely understand why. I think that what he did in terms of the directing style, like using different colors to represent different settings, focusing on so many different characters, but it feeling like, very easy to follow. It's quite a feat, and honestly, it's a very ambitious film. If you haven't done so already, I would highly recommend checking out Traffic. It is a really good film. Some people have said that it hasn't aged all too well, in terms of like the messages and themes of, the war on drugs. But I disagree. I think that it has aged really well, and honestly, it's a really good film. That's why I'm on Criterion Blu-ray. But yeah, that's my number 3. Next up, my number 2, and to be quite frank, my number 1 and 2, I keep going back and forth because I love both films. But my number 2 is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I love this film. Didn't always love this, though. Truth be told, the first time I saw it, I actually hated it. But I just couldn't help myself but wanted to revisit it like years, like many more years later, because I realized I was like, I think at least matured as a film goer. So when I revisited it in I think it was 2018, 2019, I was like, holy cow, this movie is a masterpiece. And then I revisited like a couple months later when I bought it on 4K, and I was just like, holy cow. And truthfully, I've been itching for another rewatch. I think Ang Lee, what he did with this film is just incredible. I love the action scenes. It feels more like a dance than anything, but it works really well. Great score, beautiful score, beautiful cinematography, beautiful costume design, just an overall very beautiful film. And I'm glad this film exists. It's so good. That's why it's my number 2. Next up, my number 1. You probably guessed this already, but my number 1 is Gladiator. I love Gladiator. What can I say? This and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon I look at as masterpieces. Truthfully, Gladiator, I will admit, is kind of a flawed masterpiece. Like, there are some, issues, such as, seeing a oxygen tank in a scene. I noticed it. Some people, probably haven't, but I noticed it. Every time I watch it, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's a little goof. But it's all a part of filmmaking. And I think that's just it. Despite having a couple things like that in this film, I think the fact that this movie is as ambitious as it is and just has so many great performances, so many meticulous details from the makeup to the costume design, it just really does transport you back to this time period. And I have to say, I think that Russell Crowe gives it a killer performance. The dialogue is really good. I think it's emotionally a really effective film too. Like, I personally am always touched by this film when I watch it. I'm like, holy cow, especially the ending. And they're making a sequel, which truthfully I'm not that excited for. But this film will always still exist, and I'm so glad that this film does exist, because the rewatchability value is just off the charts. I just find myself wanting to always revisit this film, and I think it's one of Ridley Scott's best films, and yeah, it's my number one. I am glad it won Best Picture. I'll say that. I'm glad Gladiator won Best Picture. But yeah, guys, those are my 2000 Best Picture nominees ranked. Let me know your ranking for the 2000 Best Picture nominees, and stay tuned for the 2001 Best Picture nominees video, which will be coming out shortly. But guys, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate your guys' support. Don't forget the subscription button if you haven't done so already. Follow me on Letterboxd, and I will catch you guys later.